This is the second part of a three-part series comparing novels to film using Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring as an example. In this part, we will be discussing point of view.
When examining points of view, one important question that must be answered is why does the movie follow different characters? A simple answer for this is that movies are linear, means that it starts at a beginning of a point and then it ends at a certain point, whereas books follow certain characters, so you don't get all the information at once. So you could have time jumps, and then when a character comes back, you'll get that information.
Much that once was is lost, for none now live who remember it. It began with the forging of the great rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest, and fairest of all beings.
The opening scene of The Lord of the Rings is basically the history of the Great Ring, and it's told through a narrator, which happens to be the elf Galadriel. But there's a difference in the book in that in the book Gandalf is the one who tells the story to Frodo shortly after the birthday scene, when he gives Bilbo's ring to Frodo.
When reading The Lord of the Rings, we tend to get information in a third-person view from the character standpoint. When watching the movie, we find ourselves with a narrator who tells us a lot. There are a few reasons for this. In a book, we tend to have character-generated information. Either we're overhearing their thoughts or there's a lot of conversation and they tell us what we need to know. But in a movie, when we need to have backstory, the easiest way to do that is to have a narrator come in and explain it all out. This also helps because it gives us a very much more linear description. There's not a lot of overlap in conversation, and you can get it all at once, which you tend not to get in The Lord of the Rings. If you read the book, it's very scattered over a long period of time.
So the next thing we noticed was Gandalf's researching the ring and his encounter with Saruman. In the book, this whole section is basically retold by Gandalf once he's at Rivendell, and it's largely narration of the story. And in the movie, we actually get to see the action happening, we watch it, and we get to see it from both Gandalf and Saruman's point of view.
One reason why in this movie you see Gandalf doing the research rather than just having a narrator tell us is in movies you don't want to be told, you want to be able to see. This creates a more entertaining environment for the viewer, as well as if you see something, you're likely more to have that visual reference in your mind and likely to remember it better.
It is also interesting to note that in the novel, the point of view is third-person limited, focusing on Frodo, so we really only see the story as it affects him, whereas in the movie, the story follows a more third-person omniscient point of view, so we can kind of see how each character is affected by events in the movie, and it also allows for more fluidity when it comes to the order and presentation of the plot and the scenes in the movie.
Embrace the power of the ring, or embrace your own destruction. First came into being.
So the next thing we see is Saruman and the orcs. And in the book, we don't actually see the orcs very much except through Frodo's eyes or what other characters say about them. In the movie, however, we get to actually see the orcs from their perspective and from Saruman's perspective. This is important because it helps us gain a better sense of what exactly the orcs are and the true nature of their characters. And we also get to see how they're created. In the story, we really only know about them from what Gandalf has said or previous narration about how they're created. In the movie, we really get to see them from their own eyes, so we get to see exactly how evil they are and who they really are.
Your time will come. You will face the same evil, and you will defeat it.
In the book, we didn't have this love affair between Aragorn and Arwen. In order for Hollywood to be able to add that in, we needed to have scenes with them where they were alone. Therefore, we now have points of view where we are only following Aragorn or Arwen, which is something that we did not get in the book at any point.